Meet the Mazda CX-3 Maxx Sport. It's little, has a decent engine compared to some others in its class, and it has the classic Mazda curves. But the Sport upgrade gives it a racy feel inside, and there's a couple of thoughtful features as well. The Mazda CX-3 competes with the Hyundai Venue and the Kia Stonic. Now, you've probably seen it around. It's a favourite in the light SUV space, and for good reason. But does it still stack up against its rivals? For this week's family review, I took the car up the coast this weekend, and I also drove my family and friends around the suburbs and did a fair bit of city driving as well. I'll take you through the best and worst family features of the car, but if you want to skip ahead, you can use the timecodes or chapters on your screen. If you're looking for more reviews on other versions of the CX-3, then head to the CarsGuide website, where you can also find more information in my written review. But if you're on YouTube, please like, hit subscribe and the bell icon to stay up to date. This Maxx Sport is an auto and it has two-wheel drive rather than the optional all-wheel drive. It also has a list price of just over $27,000, making it good value for money. If you're looking for a more affordable option, there's the Neo Sport, which can be as much as $4,000 cheaper. The range goes all the way up to the Akari LE, which will set you back at least another $12,000. Compared to the Neo Sport, you get blind spot monitoring, auto lights and wipers, plus these 16-inch alloy wheels. It's not as teched out as some of the other cars in this category, but it does have what you need, including Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. This model doesn't come with heated seats, which I found disappointing, but it does have climate-controlled air conditioning, which some of its rivals don't have. From the outside, there's no mistaking it's a Mazda, and the CX-3 has a sportier edge than the 2, and it's definitely a lot more fun than the 3. Inside and out, it has the feeling of a small, zipping around town car rather than an SUV. Its smooth, flowing lines means it still looks classy, despite the fact it's had roughly the same look for the last 7 years. This is the snowflake white option, but the machine grey and sol red are my favourites. They'll cost you extra though. Inside, there's black cloth seats with this grey trim detailing, a leather steering wheel and gear shift knob. There's also a range of materials across the dash that help soften some of the plastics. You have some nice chrome detailing, as well as this stitching here across the centre that gives it a point of difference. Overall, the Mazda CX-3 is more practical than its small size might suggest. There are a few storage options included, and features have been designed so as not to take attention away while you're driving. As you can see, there's quite a bit of room for the driver or passenger up front. You have a decent amount of headspace, but the leg area is a bit cramped and the manual levers on the side for the seat are a bit clunky. The driver's instruments are slightly digitised, but the design is classic, so it works. The multimedia screen is 7 inches, so it is on the small side, and your tech offerings are a little limited. But what you do get is your inbuilt navigation system, your fuel monitoring app and your music. You have this storage space here with 2 USB points, but it's only the top one that works with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. It's wired, which means you have to plug it in to make it work, but it does have Bluetooth as you'd expect. Your tech is partially controlled by this manual dial. At first I wasn't a fan, but it's easy to use, and as a safety feature, the touchscreen doesn't work while you're driving. The inbuilt sat-nav is fairly easy to program if you type in your address before you head off, and using the voice command, it's okay if you know the exact location. It's not very intuitive. You can't say Westfield Warringah Mall and then the road and suburb. You need the number, so it's not ideal while you're driving. But I found the voice command for my phone integrates well, so I use Google Maps instead. And when you do it that way, the audio system automatically throws your music to the left speaker and plays your inbuilt sat-nav instructions through the right, making it much easier to hear. One of the standout features for me is this storage area here because it makes the most out of the small space up front. Do you want 2 drink holders or practical storage? Well, why don't we have both? This bit here pulls out so you can have a cup holder as well. It nearly makes up for the very small centre console and the glove box. Now in the back there is a centre fold down armrest with 2 cup holders. But the Mazda CX-3 doesn't have USB points in the back like some of its rivals or directional air conditioning vents. But both back doors have small bottle holders. I'm 5'10", which is 177 centimetres, and I'm sitting behind my driver's position. As you can see, I don't have a lot of leg room. I don't think I'd be comfortable for a really long drive. There are 2 ISOFIX points and 3 top tether attachments. And if you have a rear-facing child seat in the back, you can see that it eats up quite a bit of space in the back and the front. You can fit another forward-facing child seat here behind the driver, but you definitely wouldn't fit a third, and it'd be hard to fit a passenger. The boot is small for its class at 264 litres, but you can fold all the seats down to get 1,164 litres. But if you're using it as a family car with people in the back seat, you can't fit a lot in here. You can't even fit a decent sized pram. You can also fold the back seat 60-40 to give you more options and lower the floor of the boot to give you more space for your groceries. The CX-3 definitely has a bit of zoom, particularly on a nice long highway drive. It has great steering and accelerates quickly on the straight. It has a decent 2-litre petrol engine, a 6-speed auto transmission and front-wheel drive. Because of the auto transmission being calibrated to save fuel, it does tend to pick the higher gear earlier. So I found it a little slow to react, especially with windy hills around the suburbs. But on the highway, when you're travelling at higher speeds, it responds a lot better in similar situations. It does have a sports mode which makes it a bit more lively, and you can switch it over to manual as well if you like. As I mentioned, the steering is accurate and predictable. It's easier to park than some of the other cars in its class. But surprisingly, for an SUV, it can scrape its nose on steep driveways. I did find the suspension quite firm, particularly over potholes. The visibility isn't great when I'm checking my mirrors because of the positioning of my seat and the B-pillar. The pedals are also a bit awkward for me. The tip of my boot has caught a couple of times, which I find quite distracting. I've been driving the car for the past week. I did a quick trip up the coast, and I've also been driving around the city and the suburbs. My petrol usage was 7.7 litres per 100 kilometres, but the official combined cycle figure is 6.3 litres of fuel per 100 kilometres. Despite the car's small size, it does feel solid and safe on the road. It has a decent kit of safety features, especially if you spend most of your time around town. This model has forward emergency braking, but only at city speeds. But impressively, it has AEB as well, to stop you from reversing into objects or cars. It also has rear parking sensors, but you don't get any for the front. The CX-3 has the bare minimum airbag coverage and a 5-star ANCAP rating, but from 2016. But the standards for achieving that maximum score have changed a lot since then. Mazda provides good value in terms of maintenance and ownership costs, particularly if you're comparing it to some of the European models. The CX-3 comes with a 5-year unlimited kilometre factory warranty, which is standard for its class. You also get roadside assist for 5 years. The CX-3 needs a service every 12 months or 10,000 kilometres, which is less than most cars. The capped price servicing averages out at $350 each year over the first 5 years. The Mazda CX-3 is fiercely popular for a reason. It's a good price for what you get, as long as you're looking for a hatchback with a little extra, rather than an SUV. From the outside, the car is clean and classic, and it handles nicely, but inside it is getting a little dated. You can check out my full written review or Tom White's comparison review for more information at the CarsGuide site. I'm giving the car a 7 out of 10 because it's a good buy, it delivers where it needs to, but it loses family points for the small boot and for the tight squeeze in the back, particularly if you have a car seat. If you're looking for something different, we've got thousands of reviews on our YouTube site, so please hit subscribe and like to check out our latest content.